Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 16 of Yona of the Dawn, War Games. So, last episode was really interesting. We got into Soo-won's character and what he's been up to. It's suspicious. He's basically going around visiting all the tribes. My theory is that he's trying to not only gather intel about all the tribes and learn about them, but also kind of get them on board with him being the king in his subtle, interesting sort of way. Because right now, Gunti, who's like the Earth Tribe clan leader, which I really like him, he's really fun. He is not on board with Soo-won at all. He thinks he's worse than King Il. But I'm thinking that, no, by the end of this, he's gonna be tooting Soo-won's horn. I'm sure Soo-won has something in mind that's gonna get him on board, and this whole War Games thing is gonna be part of it. I just don't know how. But Soo-won, such an interesting character, so complicated and complex, and I'm trying to figure him out, but he's acting different than he's acted behind the scenes back at Kiryu Castle. So I'm like, you're acting different than you did back with your councils. So something's up, right? And even though Judo doesn't seem to understand it, I'm like, Soo-won has a plan, and I want to see what happens with it and how it gets interacted. So it seems like we're taking a slight detour from Yona and the others, which is fine, because like I said in the last reaction, what I like about this show is that when they go on journeys looking for characters, it's like not just a montage and then they're suddenly there. No, stuff happens, or we do character development or things like that. And we did that when we were looking for the white and the blue dragons. So now that we're looking for the green one, I like that we're kind of taking a detour and letting them go look for him. And while they're doing that, we're catching up on what Soo-won and the others have been doing. I like it. So yeah, I'm curious to see what goes down with this. It should be interesting. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. I'm curious to see. I've been really excited to watch this episode and see what goes down with this War Games thing, with this side plot, because I feel like we're on episode 16 at this point, so we've got 24 episodes in the season, so I feel like we're still in Act 2. We're gearing up to the stuff to push towards Act 3, and so I feel like stuff that happens in this episode will have a bearing on the rest of the season. But we'll wait and see, right? So let's get started, shall we? We're going to start this episode here in 3, 2, 1... and let's go. I'm not joking. I've come to the realization, Banana Fish is one of my favorite anime. Banana Fish I love, and it's technically a shoujo. It's one of my favorite anime, I think Banana Fish is. And I've come to the realization that Attack on Titan is probably one of my favorite anime as well. But this one's right up there in the top 3, I think, perhaps. Already, because what? This episode just came out of nowhere. And what I love about this episode is that it is, I did so much speculation in the last episode about what would happen in here, and it all came to fruition. It was all realized. Yes, this entire trip was planned by Soo-won, but the level of planning is incredible, because Soo-won, his whole goal is to unite. This is where it gets so complicated, because you understand Yona and Hawk's mission to reclaim the kingdom and get vengeance for King Il's death, because that's Yona's father. And Soo-won has turned their world upside down. But the complicated part about all of it is that it may not have been a bad thing that it was turned upside down. The fact that their father had to die is awful. And did King Il deserve to die? No, I don't think so. I think that that's the tragic part of it, is that he was killed to do this. The complicated part is that Soo-won is actively trying to make the kingdom better, where King Il failed to do so. That's the complicated part, is that you feel for Yona and Hawk, for them losing their king and her father, and you feel that they are justified in their sense of wanting vengeance for that, because it completely shattered their world. You get that. And you want to root for them, because they're trying to gain back the kingdom and right a wrong that has been committed. But what makes it so complicated is that Soo-won is doing a good job in this episode of making the kingdom better. And he's trying to unite the tribes again, where they were all in chaos before. He's trying to unite them all under his kingship, and he's doing so. The crazy thing about it all is the way that he does it is sort of like King Il, in a sense that it's a peaceful, calm way of doing it, but it has the effectiveness of Yu Hong's military strategy. It's like combining King Il's kindness and compassion with his father's, with Soo-won's father's like military strategic level of precision. It's insanity. And I root for Soo-won in this episode because he technically just helped the Earth Tribe. Like, they talked about the Kai Empire being their rival to the north and how they were always scared of an attack from them. And what does Soo-won do? He takes something that he finds beautiful, that fragrant tea of Yona, which is precious. I did not expect Gunti's wife to be so demure and feminine and precious, but she is, and I love her. And she's like the biggest Gunti fangirl. I love that she's like, draw that expression, draw it. Like, I love it. I'm with you, girl, because Gunti is a great character. But he takes her tea and basically starts to get word spread around about it and figures out the Kai Empire likes that sort of thing and is going to make like a trade opportunity, a way to merchandise and market it. And then the stones, having them wear the stones, like Soo-won comes from a place of understanding beauty and understanding marketability and understanding how people work. Like, he's, again, like Yao and Modazushi, he's very good at reading people. And he gets that the people, one, love Gunti, like his entire tribe loves him, and realizes that whatever Gunti is wearing or doing, they're going to try to imitate it. He figured that out in the last episode when he saw that Chol was imitating Gunti's hairstyle. He's like, oh, you're imitating your tribe leader's hairstyle because you guys admire him. So he takes it one step further. He figures out that they're having trouble in the mines, and he puts two and two together. And he's like, okay, well, they're having trouble in the mines getting people to work and to help out. And it's a dangerous condition. And they're having trouble marketing the stones from the mines. So he puts it to work creating the necklace for Gunti. And so when Gunti wins and the people are inspired, they all want to be like him and not only have the same hairstyle, but have the same necklace too. And so then it gets people working in the mines to market the stones that they're going to sell and create revenue and generate more for the economy and the Earth Tribe. And then they'll have the revenue to rebuild. And it's, yeah, this baka is going to make them rich. And he was just there for a week. So I have a problem hating Soo-won. I'm so torn and conflicted because I like Soo-won's character after these two episodes. I do, but it's like he had no choice. And it's like, what do you do? The only thing I can think of is that Soo-won could have married Yona and then that's the only way I think at this point in the story King Ill's death could have been avoided by Soo-won marrying Yona. But still, King Il did not want Soo-won to marry her. So there's your immovable object. There's your immovable object, unstoppable force debate, right? But it's so crazy. And this elaborate rule, I want to go back to that because that's the interesting part about all this, is the rule about the war games. The rule about the mock battle and the war games. So we have the red and white armies. We have the white army that's the Sky Tribe. And even though the Earth Tribe is the red army, all I can think about is that it's a representation of Yona and their crew is a representation of that, right? That's all I can think of. So they have the plates on their heads with little towels so that they're not going to be hurt, right? So that no one gets killed. And then Gunti and Soo-won are the kings, and the other participants are divided as nobles and commoners. And a commoner's plate is worth 1 point, a noble's plate is worth 5, and a king is worth 10. So, and yeah, the army that earns the most points wins. And so, yeah, they won because Gunti killed a lot of the nobles, and the ranks are important. People of the same rank fight as equals. So basically, a king can break a noble's plate, but he cannot break a commoner's. So it's like goes down a rank. So he's like, okay, king can break a noble's plate, cannot attack a commoner, right? But a noble can break a commoner's, but cannot break a king's, right? So it just goes in an order there. And then a commoner can break a king, but cannot break a noble. So there's always like a rank in between. And I find that interesting that the commoner can break the king's plate, but not the noble. It's interesting, right? And the king can break the nobles, but not the commoners. So it's like they can't fight each other in a certain way. Everybody is somewhat equal on the battlefield, which is interesting. And then those who have their plates broken are prisoners, and they have to receive spare plates from their allies. Okay. But then that's a chance for the opposite side to get more points. Interesting. And then you get disqualified if you deliberately go against the rules. And yeah, this whole time, Soo-won looks like a rabbit. He plays safe and fight hard. And Gunti calls him uninspiring, and Judo seems to think so at first. But when Gunti says that he's like a rabbit, Judo's like, nah, you don't get it, dude. Yeah. And so, yeah, then we have this conversation about the Thunder Beast, the prodigy, that Hawk is the prodigy. And Gunti talks about how a warrior hones their skills by experiencing the battlefield. But Hawk never went to war, but he's still really good. So he's a prodigy. Yeah, he has all this strength, the strength of 1,000 men without ever truly going to war. So I think still that Hawk could beat Soo-won in a fight. And I love the dynamic, the contrast. We have Hawk is like fiery and has this reputation, right? And then you have Soo-won that's cold and hasn't even had rumors of his prowess. But no. But I'm like, Soo-won's been training with Hawk since their childhood. He's strong. And the whole appearance of him being pale with thin arms, it's like, no, he's a hawk. It's like hollow bones, right? And the Thunder Beast is a tiger. The king is a rabbit. It's like, yeah, no, the king is a hawk. That motif has been established, right? And the hawks kill the rabbits, right? It's all strategic. Yeah, it's amazing. And I like the Judo established. He's like, the Earth Tribe are dazzled by things that they can see. They don't think about what's under the surface, right? And Gunti does not until the very end. It's fascinating. And the idea of Soo-won running around in circles, he's just kicking up dust that they're going to use against the tribe. Yeah, no, Soo-won's a strategist. Absolutely. And this was so strategic. Like him having the wife serve the tea, getting people to see the battles that they'll buy the jewels, spreading the word around, even up until the very end where it was like, yeah, if Gunti lost, he would have lost face in front of his people and they wouldn't have been as encouraged or as invigorated as if he had won. And so, yeah, for a second, now the question is, did Soo-won intentionally trip and fall, or was that just coincidence? I think it was intentional, but for a split second, Gunti saw just how serious and powerful Soo-won could be. And it's like, you saw a glimpse of it. You saw the glimpse. That's all it took. Yeah, that image of Soo-won as Ao is cursed. Like him as a squirrel. No. But yeah, I just baffling. And him and Judo fighting. And yeah, it explains so much with Gunti's character that he goes gung-ho into battle, like does not necessarily think about it. He's just relying on brute strength alone. And he learns in this war game, the simulation, that brute strength alone is not going to win you a battle, that there has to be strategy involved as well. And that Soo-won has calculated this entire trip down to all of the influential things to happen. It's kind of amazing, right? Kind of amazing. But I love this final battle between him and Soo-won. It's so good. It's so good. I love it because yeah, he fights him at the end here. And Soo-won offers him, he's like, oh, if you don't like this, we can just go back and have another mock battle. We'll start over again if you don't want to lose face. And I like the Gunti sticks to his guns. He's like, no, on the battlefield, the dead do not come back to life. I'm going to see it through to the end. And I'm like, again, it's so good. I get Mingju, Yao from Modao Zushi vibes with both of these characters. And I love it. Worrying about my reputation will not save the kingdom. So yeah, and again, Soo-won notes at the very end of the episode, he's like, Gunti does not realize how influential he is and how much his reputation does matter. That's the thing. He doesn't realize just how influential and important he is. And it takes it until the end of the episode for him to kind of even remotely start to realize it. Because yeah, he's like, I don't care about my reputation. It's not going to save the kingdom. And it's like, but it will. You just don't get it, right? But yeah, this battle between them, I was waiting for Soo-won to fight him and for it to get serious because Judo respects Soo-won. So yeah, it's an opportunity to test the king's worth. And it's like, honey, yeah, I love Soo-won, that glance. It's like, ah! And this whole battle, like, again, for being a shoujo, like the action in this scene, like the sword fighting, the choreography, it's great. It's wonderful. And they just go at it. And yeah, the idea of him wielding his sword calmly. Is this man a true king or not? And yeah, and then no, Soo-won getting serious and bearing down on him and that rainbow and everything. And then he trips over his own robe. Yep. But for a split second, he was serious. Mm-hmm. And he makes the comment. He's like, "This man is more terrifying than Yu Hong." It's like, yeah, no. Soo-won's father was terrifying because he had the military prowess and the strength like Gunti, but Soo-won is more dangerous because he has that, and he has the strategy and the other prowess. And yeah, he's like, "What was that? Like, what did you just show me? No, don't play games. There's something else. You're hiding it again. But what was it?" It's like, oh, it's great. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love this episode. I've been sold on this series so many times already, and I keep saying that, like, no, the series is great, but the idea of just all that's behind this, and Soo-won just going from kingdom to kingdom at this point to prove that he's a good king, but simultaneously, he's not only proving he's a good king and he's capable and reliable, but he's doing so in a non-threatening manner. He's not applying force. That's the thing, because when a new king takes over, especially the way that he did apply force. He killed King Il to do it. And there's so many layers to this, because yeah, he killed King Il to take the throne, so he applied force to take the throne. But now that he has it, that was the necessary step to get it. And now that he has it, he's going about to all these tribes, and in a calm, reasonable, and peaceful manner, he's convincing them that he is a good king. Not only that he's strong and that he has the intellectual prowess to be a king, but that he's going to help their kingdoms prosper. And the crazy thing about this is that he's won Gunti over. He's won Gunti over in a heartbeat, because Gunti was thanking his wife, and I love that he compliments Yuno. He's like, "It's because of you that we're prospering." It's like, oh, he's giving his wife so much credit and being such a loving husband. I'm like, oh, look at you, Gunti. I love it. I love this series too, because in a lot of series, you see generals like this and their wives are like off in the distance and we never see them. But in this, Yuno has a character. She is like contributing to the story, and she's very sweet and has a personality. And yeah, for the record, Soo-won is totally gay. Spending tea time with her and everything, like, no. In hindsight, Soo-won ain't marrying Yona. No, that ain't happening. He may want to marry Hawk, but that ain't happening. Yeah. But yeah, so it's so crazy, because yeah, there's so many layers to this. Not only did Gunti and his wife like start something that's going to allow their kingdom to prosper under Soo-won's suggestion, but the people are getting riled up and even more enthusiastic and motivated to serve under Gunti, right? So it's like Soo-won says, if I need to use them in battle, they're going to be my liveliest army. They're going to be my biggest supporters because of how much they follow Gunti. And if Gunti likes me and they like Gunti, it's a win-win situation. So he has calculated this. But the other thing with it too is that because he's doing this all through strategy and not through force, and by making friends with the clans and uniting them together, it's also uniting them to his cause and to be persuaded by him. So if Yona and Hawk come at Gunti and they're like, Soo-won killed King Il, even though that was a traitorous act, because of what Soo-won has done here, and because of how he's gained Gunti's favor, I can totally see Gunti being like, well, yeah, he had to kill him, because now look at all the great things that are happening for our kingdom. It's so calculated and strategic and amazing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, so he's going to unite all these clans together under his rule, but also that's going to alienate Hawk and Yona, because when they go to these tribes and they're like, this guy killed the king, they're going to be like, well, maybe that was for the better. Maybe it was for the better that he died. And where does that leave Hawk and Yona? Ah! I'm really glad I'm reading the manga now. I'm really glad I'm going to read the manga because yeah, I'm so glad, because cutting this off of 24 episodes and this all being like the preamble to the story, I can't, y'all. I just, right? It's insanity. I loved this so much. So much. And yeah, I wish there was more to say. I could just gush about this entire episode on and on, but it's just so good. Like the storytelling and the crafting of it all. Like it's just getting Soo-won's perspective and what his mission is and what he's doing. It's just so masterfully done. Oh my God. Y'all, I can't wait to hear your comments about this episode. This may be one of my favorite episodes of the season so far, just because of how masterfully it sets up Soo-won's entire plot to bring them all together. And the battle just got harder for Yona and Hawk. And it's crazy. It's crazy because Soo-won's doing all of this without divine spiritual powers, right? He's showing that I don't need a god to do this. I'm a man. I'm doing this. I'm a human doing this all on my own without any divine intervention, which is going to be a weird contrast when you have Yona and Hawk, who are having these beings of divine intervention helping them. So it's setting some interesting conversations up about the power of humanity versus the divine. And I'm so curious now where this is going to go. And then Soo-won just leaves. Like, doesn't even acknowledge his leaving, doesn't make any fanfare of it. He just picks up judo and goes. Again, I love how much Gunti loves his wife. It's so sweet. It's so beautiful. It's like such the wholesome relationship, and I love it. Gunti, I like him a lot as a character. So, oh my God. This episode was great. And that look of realization on his face when he realizes that it was all Soo-won's plan. I love this episode. I cannot wait to hear what you all think about it as well and to talk with you all about it. And yeah, Soo-won planned this whole trip out, this vacation for a week. It was not a waste of time. Gunti lounges, I'm at the end of the episode. Gunti lounges around unaware of the influence he has over his people and how important they're going to be for Soo-won. And Soo-won's eyes get that little gleam at the end. Like, if I have to go to war with Yona and them. But here's the thing, like I said, he's uniting all the tribes against them. If we're forced to go to war, then yeah, the Earth tribe forces will lead the most spirited among the 5 tribes. Yeah, and then just Soo-won with that gleam in his eye and that glare. Their intensity will be a great asset to Quokka Kingdom. So that's just the problem, because yeah, he's uniting all these tribes against enemies, which will include Hawk and Yona. And so it's going to be Hawk and Yona and the 4 dragons and Yoon, these 7 individuals, versus all the tribes of the nation, because they're all going to get united under Soo-won. So what are we going to do with that? And then even if they overthrow Soo-won, it's going to throw things into turmoil because all these tribes will have been united under him. So what do we do? This is setting some stuff up that I'm like, oh no, now it's getting even more complicated and hard for Yona and crew. This was amazing, and I'm really excited for the rest of the season, but this is set up so much, and my brain is like so excited. So I can't wait to talk to you all about this episode. I've said it like 3 times now, but I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. I'm so excited by this series. I love it. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm so excited. I'll be back next week with episode 17 of Yona of the Dawn. Bye.